The best labor we ever had is when we had the Belgians and the Hungarians. The sugar factory had about 30 wagons out here. If you was raiding beets, the field man, we had, Bidlack, Lawrence Bidlack was the head field man, then Harry Michael, John Dirk, and there's that Miller from Grover Hill, and then another fellow here in town was the field man. Now they would bring one of those shanties out, and then you would put the labor in it. And it was there wasn't no sanitation to the thing. If you had a well, that's where you parked, and that was the water. I had one in the woods there for a couple of years, and I had two Belgians. That was during about 35. The Belgians was our best workers when it comes to blocking beef. And they stayed in my trailer, and they blocked for me and other fellas, and they was from Detroit. When they got to blocking, then they went back to Detroit, and then when it come time to top those beef, they come back and moved in the trailer until the topping days was over with. During war years, first 2 years, if we need the labor, well, I know we used Jamaicans. My brother and I did. And then the last 2 years of the war years, we've used German war traders. We had to take 10 at a time from the CCC camp. My guard went with them. We never paid the Jamaicans anything. We never paid the company paid it. We couldn't pay them. We couldn't pay the German war prisoners, so I don't know what they got. We were charged minimum wage, which was 40 cents an hour at that time. Well, I guess that most years ago, most of the beasts come in by railroad. I know they had I think Wirtsville had scales there where they weighed the beef and they shoved them on railroad cars and then were shipped in. Because back in those days, everyone had horses or teams. So you can only be about 2 or 3 miles away from the factory because you wouldn't get home that day. I know we'd load up in the morning. I'd take the 200 men. We'd load up 3 big loads in the morning, and we'd get up here where edge of Paulding, where it says Paulding Corporation Limit. The Catholic Church bell would ring 12 o'clock noon, and maybe at night we'd come home after dark with those teams. So that's the way it was. Of course, there wasn't no money in anything, so we just kept raising beets, and the same thing was raising grain. So I guess all my contracts are laying over there that I had, and I guess that's all I got to say.
Hey, thank you, George. Like I say, some of these records that we have around here, we've kind of read back through them, and he was talking about the scale houses. I've seen some listed scale houses as far away as Rockford, clear down in, and there's some in Bryan. They leased these scale houses. I think they was like $10 a year. The records are up there. I'm reading through them. They leased these scale houses like for $10 a year. So everybody took their beets to these scale houses, and then they loaded them on a railroad and brought them into Paulding. The Columbia Sugar Company owned some property around different parts of the county. They owned some property in Payne, Antwerp, and I know they owned some in Ney and Sherwood. And we've got a record up there of what was kept at each one of these plants, or these properties. They had mobile housing units on wheels, is what they called them. You and I, we all call them something different, but they called them in this report mobile housing units on wheels. Beet drills, cultivators, lifters, all these things were stored at these different places, and then, like I say, the farmers could come in and check them out, use them, bring them back, somebody else would get them. So there's a lot of interesting facts up here in these books, in our papers that we have. If anybody wants to read them sometime, you're all welcome to come out here. Anybody else have anything? George, you got anything you want to talk about today? Come on up here. We can.
I know that.
We'll get him up here.
People that worked out there long and night. Just some of the things I'd like to tell you about today. When we went to work out there, there was quite a few things that had to be done, and Jim's dad was the main man out there. And in fact, he never liked to see anybody sit around. You know, when they hired me, I went out there, I didn't know what I was getting into, but I believe that working in the lime field was one of the hardest places that I ever worked in my life. I worked about 9 years out there, and I think about 3 years in the lime field. And you know, the colored people, they just couldn't take it out there at that mine. They would burn so bad, we really felt sorry for them, but we were just a labor like the rest of them. And Jim's brother, Barney, I don't know if any of you remember him or not. Jim's brother was he's just like old Jim. He's just, as we always called Jim, old Jim. We used to work for Jim too. But I'll tell you, Barney was a good fellow. He was I'm not sure what all he did, but he was worked on the sheriff department. And I'd spent about 3 years in the lime kiln, hoping that someday that we would get promoted. And Barney, he came around and he said to me, George, he said, there's not very many fellows that ever got a promotion like I'm going to give you. He said, I'm going to take you into the factory and you will be working on as a labor, packing cells. And these cells that we packed look just like a great big overgrown tourist bottle. And I can remember some of them that I never worked very much packing cells. They'd get in there at their feet and they'd trump the screenings of the cut beets. They came through in an endless belt, and then you put a gate across and they would run down into those cells. But Barney said, I've got something better for you, George. And he said, there's not very many people that ever gave a labor like this promotion. So we went inside and he told me what my job would be. And I think I worked 2 years on that job before I got another promotion. And boy, was I ever struck around. I was a foreman over 2 men. But it was better than packing cells. And we worked at that then, as George said, till just about the last year. But something else I was going to tell you that happened. Every once in a while we'd get they'd send in a new man to help on those cells. Of course, they'd packing them, they didn't know too much about it. And every once in a while we'd have a valve that would leak. And we had I think he was a foreman, a foreigner, that Jim would probably know. But he watched things pretty close, and if we made any mistakes, well, he's right there to help us out with the, had a lot of wheels to turn and open up to get the juice running through the right way. Last year I worked there, they had pity on me again. They was going to give me another promotion. And never was much of a fellow to talk, kind of a backwoodsman. I guess you all know that by now. I had to speak for a few of them, a union. And that was coming in, that was about the last year, and it was, they were pretty weak then, these unions. So I don't know why they picked on me, Mr. Klinger. Said that they want to see you, George, up there at the office. And so I went up to the office and they said, now, you know, this union's coming in and we got to have some spokesmen. And I thought, boy, you sure picked on a poor guy to be speaking for part of the man that we worked with. But you know, this is back in those rough days that you've already heard about today. I remember we was packing cells from Pearl Harbor, was bombed, worked nights, and boy, from then on, everything was really turned around. Well, Mr. Klinger, he came around before the last year, and it might have been 2 years after the beet slicing was all done and they began to clean the building up. He gave me a job then after our work was done cutting sugar, and we got another couple weeks on that. But what I wanted to tell you about those days was pretty rough. You all know that as senior citizens and people that worked out there in different places. And I'm pretty sure I told George I thought it was 32 cents that we got. When I came back and I talked to the men, I said, well, it was worth it. He said, well, how much are we getting? I said, 2.5 cents an hour. That's what they told me, the union. How much you get? I said, 5. Boy, I'll tell you, them guys, they really went up there. Whole 5 cents. But I'll tell you what, Mr. Klinger told me, he said, well, when the sugar is all cut and we're through, he said, you can go in there and you can pick up your check. And boy, I'll tell you, we really had a party. We got $67 out of our union. And boy, and I'll tell you, back in those days, young people, that was a lot of money. And I'll never forget it. Jim's dad probably helped me more than you would ever think by giving me a job, because they was pretty scarce at that time. And we really appreciate the gentlemen. They meant a lot to us and to Mr. Klinger. And Jim, do you remember that fellow, Foreman? Well, some of the rest of you who's worked out there, you probably know Harry somebody named Tolsman, guy like I am. He was, I'll tell you, that's the second guy I ever met in my life that could be at 2 places at one time. And do you remember what his name was, Jim? He was a tall, dark complected fellow. Well, I bet you wouldn't believe it. Jim over here and I worked together one time. Would you believe that out of 10 that he had to work? Well, somebody better come and take this. I said about.
Thank you, George. Yeah, even though the beets were a lot of work, a lot of hard work, a lot of good things, and a lot of good memories come out of them. And it kind of goes yet today. A lot of hard work. You may think that everybody hates it. God, I hate hard work, you know. Don't we all? But we have all done it. We've all lived through it, and we've all learned from it. So beets were hard work, no doubt. And you can ask anyone in these people in here that helped them. Like the old guy said, there ain't a thing I want to remember about beets. Not one thing. And then after most of you probably thought the same thing back then. Give me anything but a sugar beet. I don't want them things. Is there anybody else that wants to say anything today? Because we're going to be here a while. I mean, we've got till 4 o'clock. We've scheduled this thing till 4 o'clock. And we're giving everybody all the opportunities you want. What you remember your parents might have told you. Anybody? Jim, you got memories that you'd like to share with the group? Not a one, huh? All right. I had a picture a while back. It wasn't anything to do with sugar beets, but I even caught Ab Wright working one day. Wasn't very long though. We was out here thrashing one day. We was thrashing some wheat, and he borrowed my hat and got up on the wagon and threw a couple bundles of wheat in the separator. And I took his picture. So forever and ever, if he tells you he don't do anything, I caught him one time. So, yeah, George.
I forgot to say that when they closed in 32, Charlie Nuneman and Henry Petit and John Gerard and the superintendent had to move their families to Mount Pleasant, Michigan for about a year and a half to keep their job. And then when they came back to Paulding, when old man Old bought it, he put his 2 son-in-laws down here, Louis Berman and George Berneiser, to run it. And Charlie Nuneman come back and become superintendent of the factory from then on.
Okay, thank you, George. So, yeah, we'd like to hear from anybody else. Nobody?
Does anybody know anything about what they did with the beans? I can remember my dad, I worked out there when they did something with the beans. I don't know what they did. What they did, Dad?
I think we could been storing corn around, and they brought them carloads of beans in, northern, great northern, or something, whatever the word. They had them use the old railroad, and they brought them carloads of beans in and cleaned them, and reloaded them, and cut them someplace, I don't know what it was.
Okay.
One thing I had a question about was the lime. I mean, they had all that lime out there. Did they ore that, or how, was that a byproduct of the beets, or what was that?
Okay, she was asking about the lime piles that are out there. Where did they come from? You want to get into that, Albert, or you?
Well, you use lime in processing the beets, raw juice, and that was filtered out. And when I mentioned before, we sold a lot of lime. Jim, I think your farms bought some of the farms, the lime. I sold a lot up around Sherwood. I remember that one summer I had 4 lime spreaders out there hauling lime, and I think that Hartzog and Webb sold lime more or less cleaned up the ponds. There were tons and tons of it out there, a lot of it.
Okay, basically it was a byproduct of, they used the limestone in the processing, and the lime come from that. Yeah, a lot of farmers ended up buying it around here, like you said, Hartzog and Webb bought their own spreader truck, and they hauled a lot out of there. But there's still a lot there. There's still some big piles of lime down there. I have no idea how many tons, but I know they was selling it to different farmers just for spreading.
If I remember correctly, you used 5% lime to beets. In other words, if you used 50,000 tons of beets, you used 2,500, could be 2,500 tons of lime, rock. We bought that much.
One thing George mentioned, old man Old. I don't know whether Mr. Old had a first name or not. Dad always referred to him as Old Man Old. He was very much impressed with Mr. Old. And one thing that he did share with me that has been good for me anyhow, and I tried to follow, he said that all money he'd ever made in his life was being ready. And he said that, I don't know whether George has ever heard this story or not, that he and some relatives up in Canada were loggers, and came a rough winter, and early in the winter all the rest of the loggers quit. And they stuck with it, and they had good teams, and they got the logs ready. Come spring, they were the only logging company that had any logs. And it was a good market, and he really got his first money that way. So I try to be that way myself, and one thing that I do in that manner is when I finish combining soybeans, I get the combine ready so it's ready for wheat the next spring, next summer. And I try to be ready. So I guess that came from what he referred to about Mr. Old, but I think maybe that'd be a good thing for all of us.
That's true. This is what we wanted to do, get some, one guy say something, somebody else, it'll stir somebody else's memory. Is anything anybody said stirred something up? Yeah, maybe you guys remember as you go along. All right, Leo. You got anything to share with us, Leo?
We have kind of neglected the field hands. You know, we had families came up from Mexico. I had hoped maybe my friend Angel Flory would come here today, because his whole family came up from Texas to work in the beef. Different ethnic groups came. We called it hunking beef because Hungarians did it. And after the Hungarians, the Belgians came. As soon as they learned to speak English, they got a better job. that was what was holding them back. They spinned these beets with a hose that 14 inches long, so you had to bend down. And the beet seeds had several plants in them, and you had to thin them out, because if they grew up together, there wouldn't be any size at all. There would be no thinning. So while you were down there thinning with a hoe, you were in a position to pick them out with your fingers. So these rows were 22 inches apart, I think. And when they were cultivated, there was a quarter went down each side of the row. So there was a place about 5 inches wide that you scraped across that with your little hoe that's in the beet. You were hoeing the weeds and you were thinning the beets at the same time. When I worked at them in the summertime when I was in school, a good man could do an acre a day. A boy could do a half an acre a day. And then I worked in the sugar beet plant, 35 to 36. And I got 35 cents an hour in 1936 for 84-hour weeks. Made a nice paycheck. I worked with Frank Johnson and Ike Leslie, Barney Nuttleman, Charlie Worth. It was work, but it was pleasant work. Especially when you saw all those people out at the gate waiting for a job.
Okay, thank you, Lou. Yes, Bob?
I got started in the beet when I was 4-8, and I did that for a project, and I didn't know much about beets then either, but I got to working in them, and one day I was out there trying to top them, and I seen somebody come down through the field, and I didn't know who it was. They're all dressed up in overalls, and it turned out to be my mother. She's coming down there and giving me advice on how to top beets. But she did get down there and help me a little bit. And another experience I had was we used to load them up in a wagon there at Cecil, and then we'd haul them up to the big town of Cecil and load them in these their flat cars, pitch them on the hand. And this one day, I happened to be involved in it, got up there, and the old switch engine come through there to haul the beets over to Paulding. And they wouldn't wait till we got the wagon unloaded. They hooked onto the car and only had a half a load, and we had to take the rest of our load back home. I didn't like that train after that for a long time. But I did then, later on in 41, I got to working in a sugar beet plant out here. Worked in the sugar room, and I talked to a guy here today, and I think Paulie Hebner, him and I worked in the same department, same shift, and I'd kind of forgotten about him, but I worked with Joe DeLatt, and Ed Smith was my boss, and I remember Jim walking around there too. I don't know what he was doing, but he was working. But I worked in the sugar, and I always remember the time of getting up in the bins after they had a strike. You'd have to go clean that bin out every time. We'd always have to put sugar sacks on our shoes, and then climb down in the bin.
Did you?
Yes, I did. But then when they had when they rang the bell or rang the strike for the next one there, you had better be getting out of the bin because it's about ready to drop another load in there. And I remember Dad used to haul milk, and then he would, before he'd get back in and load up a load of beets and take them in that afternoon, and then that night he'd come back way after dark, and then load his milk cans back up. But he'd always have this, haul these beets in the town there. You get up here, try and get up in the King Road, they always said. King Road is from the Dixie, the old schoolhouse, on in, that's the King Road. The rest of them is just, like George said, coming in town, they started out the edge of town. But that was a good experience, and I think I got 50 cents an hour that year in 41. And I was there when the war broke out, and then I think we stayed there until the 19th of December. After we stayed the whole season, we got a 5-cent bonus then. Which was pretty good for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. So we're moving right along here. We're trying to get some more. Anybody else got anything to say? We're just sort of.
There's a fellow over there.
Leo?
Leave over there.
Yeah, you got anything to remember about sugar beets, Leo?
Yeah, he talked about working for 50 cents an hour, I worked for 17.
Come on up here. Come on up here. We got a microphone. We can listen to you talk. You can follow the suit of some of these other people. We've been picking on Jim Donovan today. It seems like that's a popular habit or hobby here today. Most everybody in here probably remember Leo Goings. He used to be mayor here, Paulding. He was served in the Army. I can't tell you what years. I'm sure.
42 to 45.
All right. Here you go. Tell us what you remember about sugar beets, or what you don't want to remember.
Well, you were talking about working for 50 cents an hour. When I started out, hold the microphone there, Leo. There, that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. I worked for 17 and thought I was making a lot of money, and that we was working in I don't know how many of you all had different jobs out there at the factory. How many of you had four or five different jobs out there at the factory? Oh, there's one guy that worked along with you.
Yeah, I know.
Did you get up here and talk yet?
I worked under that guy, and boy, did he ever, oh, he's a nice guy.
What did you say?
I think he's just a nice guy I had to work under. Remember those old hard days?
Yeah. Every time we took a rest, you went to sleep. And do you all know what was the trouble? He come out there to watch him and his brother Chet come to see me. I was running the lime kiln, and he wanted the job. I told him, well, yeah, we need somebody. So I went to see Charlie Donovan. I told him they're two good boys and they're hungry. They want a job. So they come to work, and George hadn't been married very long, see. Every time we worked about 2 hours and rest an hour. When George sat down, he went to sleep. I worked, I don't know, I just see Chuck Dunham, he here. But anyway, when he was about 25 years old, Chuck Dunham, you guys know, his boy hauled oil. We used to haul beets and horses in the sugar beet factory. And if it was too muddy and they didn't want to unload them, then they took and shelved them all, then went back and got another load. And then I got to working at the sugar beet factory, and I worked in the lime mill and run the lime kiln. And like George said there, I was foreman, but I didn't get any more money than anybody else. But worked in the lime kiln, and then I worked over in the main park, the factory, up in the hot presses. Then I run the slicer. Paul will have him here. No, well, he worked in the pulp room, dried pulp, and Wayne Dewayne Freshwater, he packed the batteries with sugar, you know, the cut up beets. And, oh, I got a tale to tell. Big Johnny Mines was running the slicer, and we